Betrayal is at the core of the Harry and Meghan story. Silence is betrayal. But the betrayals belong to the royal family, who would not defend them, as well as Thomas Markle, who sold his own daughter out for 30 pieces of silver to the UK tabloid press, who have used him to abuse his own daughter and paid Thomas Markle money. Thomas Markle betrayed his own daughter for what? For money, for the tabloids. My family, I recall a time when Thomas Markle even said that he was part of the plot to destroy his own daughter's wedding. I mean, hear this for yourself. An interview from Sunrise on what Thomas Markle said.
Shut up.
Hear this.
That's when if you want to tell them to shut up, do it yourself. Mine.
So that may have been one of the things that upset her. And of course, the photographs were a setup. I was set up by a guy named Jeff Rayner and another guy named Dylan Howard, who was with American Media, I think. And the whole thing was a plan to actually mess up the wedding. I was just part of it. Basically, they went to my...
I don't understand.
That interview by Sunrise TV in Australia and Australian TV stations that normally trashes Prince Harry and especially Meghan Markle, the target, had to delete that interview because someone who calls himself a father went on record to say that he was part of the plot to destroy his daughter's wedding, to ruin his daughter's happiness. Why? For what? For 30 pieces of silver from the UK tabloid press, from people who abuse his own daughter. How much money would you receive? How much money would you take from someone to join in abusing your daughter? Thomas Markle had a price, and his price was met by the UK tabloids and also by Jason North. We know for a fact from Thomas Markle himself that he had a contact at the palace. That contact was Prince William and Kate's former communication secretary and now a current trustee of William's Art Flop or Art Short Prize, whatever it's called. My family, someone did an article that I would like to read to you. Someone called Steve Smith, titled The Duchess of Sussex and Her Stalkers. I repeat, The Duchess of Sussex and Her Stalkers. That will be the title of this video. Now, Steve says this, and I quote. I'm quoting Steve through this entire, video. And I quote, "Perhaps it's best to begin with a comparison of character between two men who have both been under fire. The first man who was under fire was Piers Morgan." Steve Smith begins with Piers Morgan. Please kindly look at this.
That we need to all take a step back. And I understand that you don't like Meghan Markle. You've made it so clear a number of times on this program, a number of times. And I understand that you've got a personal relationship with Meghan Markle, or had one, and she cut you off. She's entitled to cut you off if she wants to. Has she said anything about you since she cut you off? I don't think she has, but yet you continue to trash her.
Okay, I'm done with this.
No.
Sorry, no. Sorry.
So, do you know what? That's
You
pathetic.
can trash me, maybe not mine.
No.
See you later.
I'm being...
Sorry, can't
This
do
is
this.
absolutely diabolical behaviour. I'm sorry, but Piers spouts off on a regular basis, and we all have to sit there and listen. 6:30 to 7 o'clock yesterday was incredibly hard to watch. Incredibly hard to watch. No,
My
sorry.
family, what happens when you are in an uncomfortable situation? What happens? You leave. Piers Morgan felt inclined to leave when he was confronted by Alex Beresford on Good Morning Britain. He left. He left when he was uncomfortable with the environment, with the situation. He left. However, the same person who also wrote articles saying, and I quote, Meghan Markle should go back to America, wasn't happy when Harry said, I'm leaving, because their problem was that her husband was leaving with his wife and not Meghan leaving, with Archie alone. Because also, they did not want Archie. They only wanted Harry. My family, it is so hypocritical that the likes of Piers Morgan, when they are uncomfortable, can get up and leave when confronted about their obsession with Meghan Markle, their unhinged obsession with Meghan Markle. But somehow, when Harry and Meghan are uncomfortable with toxicity, this unhinged obsession, somehow they have no right to leave. Leaving is a crime to the Tory press, to the Fleet Street, who also say that, and I quote in an article for Daily Mail, that Harry and Meghan can expect no mercy following the decision to go rogue and quit. After a torrent of abuse that even they, if they were ever put through what Harry and Meghan have been put through, even they would walk out like Piers Morgan, but somehow they don't feel like that Harry and Meghan have a right to walk out over an uncomfortable, toxic, racist environment. That is what I call hypocrisy. Now, Steve said this, and I quote, Piers Morgan walked off the set of his own now former show because his outrageous vindictiveness and cruelty was called out by a colleague. And this isn't the first time. For those who are new to this channel, Piers Morgan was also accused, actually in court documents acquired by Byline Times, of being vindictive over the late Princess Diana's relationship with Major James Hewitt in court documents. Fast forward to this day, the same language is being used about Piers Morgan. His outrageous vindictiveness and cruelty was called out by a colleague. When Harry tells you history was repeating itself, he means every word. He was telling you the truth. It was an act of cowardice by a quasi-stalker in his relentless smearing of the Duchess of Sussex because she ghosted him after a single meeting. He was offended by the fact that he was not invited to the royal wedding with A-listers like Oprah Winfrey. The result has been a spasm of vituperative cruelty and smearing that has lasted years. Much of the smearing is projection. The narcissistic Morgan calls Meghan Markle a narcissist. Morgan, who failed as a broadcaster in America, calls Meghan Markle, who did make it here, a B-lister. And on it goes. Perhaps it is the case that the monarchy is indeed so rotten, out of touch, and so corrupted that it requires the defense of such a loathsome figure who thirsts for attention with cruelty. Don't forget, my family, that Piers Morgan and Jeremy Clarkson were both invited to a party by Camilla. Two individuals who abused Meghan Markle went to a party that they were invited to by the Queen Consort of the UK. That is the problem that Harry has with the royal family, with its contract and dealings with the press, that keeps on causing Harry and Meghan so much pain and so much harm. My family. And also, don't forget that Meghan Markle is a self-made millionaire in her own right. She made $50,000 an episode for Suits. She traveled the entire world with her own money. No daddy's money. No mommy's money. No one paid her bills. She worked to pay her bills. She did not inherit money from a family member. No, she did not. She worked for it. Meghan detailed in an interview with Ellen that she went to auditions in a dusty old, bust-up car, looking for gigs, looking for roles. She did everything to make it to the top. And when she landed Suits, it was a big break in her career. Suits went for 9 seasons. My family. Meghan Markle was so successful. My family. So successful. My family. In her career, in her life. My family, I wish I made $50,000 even in a month. Meghan made that kind of money in an episode, as has been reported for Suits. She was worth an estimated $5 million before marrying Prince Harry. Nobody gave her that money. She earned it through her work, through acting, her career, through Suits, the gigs that she looked for herself, the roles that she went to, just to look for a gig to pay her bills. My family, that is what Meghan did. Some people forget about that. It's high time they are reminded that Meghan was a somebody before she married Prince Harry. She addressed the United Nations long before even Harry ever did. My family, long before Prince Harry ever did, Meghan already addressed the UN. That was her life before mentioning Prince Harry, that people like Piers Morgan like to undermine. We won't stand for that. We won't stand for that, my family. We won't stand for that. Meghan was somebody before she married Prince Harry. A successful woman. My family, let's continue this, shall we? Now, Steve also says this, and I quote, "The second man did not have a lot of options in his life. He was born the son and brother of men who would be king. He was the spare. Quite literally, his mother was chased to death and killed by the media. Her phones were hacked by men like Piers Morgan. She was tormented by an institution that rejected her individuality and spirit. She was scorned and manipulated by the BBC. He walked behind his mother's casket at age 12 in front of a global television audience of billions. He is a combat veteran. He served multiple combat tours in the British Army. He served with valor and distinction. He saved American lives. Family, he flew an Apache helicopter, and there is not one word of on-the-record criticism from a single individual with whom he ever served. Prince Harry was respected by the men he led. He did not flinch. He did not run. He fought. He fought for his wife. And that, in the end, is what the story of Harry and Meghan is about. Prince Harry did what a man is supposed to do. He protected his wife and children from media predators, vicious mere artists, racist royals, and an institution that brutalized his mother and failed to protect his wife. My family, if you ever went through a fraction of what Harry or even Meghan have been through, even you wouldn't be able to tolerate it. Even you wouldn't. And that's why sometimes it's difficult to understand these haters who hate on Harry and Meghan, who pile on abuse towards Harry and Meghan. I just read that entire part of what Harry has been through. I like the reader covered that. Because if you just take a moment, like what just, hit me after reading that, of course I knew about it, but after you just read that, you get to remind yourself of exactly the many, many painful moments that Harry has been through in his life. And all he's doing is to ensure that his wife doesn't end up like his mother. You know what I mean. My family, that's what Harry is trying to do. To protect and keep his wife safe. To prevent her from losing her life the way his mother, lost her life, chased to her death by tabloids. And don't forget, she was stripped of her titles by the Queen. And the Queen, the late Queen, did not even like Diana. That tells you exactly what you need to know. That tells you exactly what you need to know about what's at play right now. It's the fight for Harry and Meghan's lives. They are fighting to defend themselves, to protect themselves from an institution that seeks their destruction. My family. Now, Steve mentioned a couple of moments that the royal family, failed to protect Meghan from. For instance, an article from the Spectator tabloid saying this, and I quote, "Obviously, 70 years ago, Meghan Markle would have been the kind of woman the prince would have had for a mistress and not a wife." Imagine that, what they wrote about Prince Harry. To this moment, they don't see Meghan Markle as being worthy of Prince Harry. They don't see her as being worthy of Prince Harry. They want to pick the wife that Harry marries. What kind of century do we live in? What kind of century do we live in, my family? And no wonder Harry said this, that royals don't marry for love. They marry someone who would fit the mold. Harry married for love. And no wonder even the first thing that came to the media's minds when Harry said that, it's Harry was talking about William and Kate Middleton. They did not marry for love. The first thing that came to the media's minds is that Harry was attacking his brother. They can't say it openly. So they say, oh look, it's Harry saying it. It's Harry saying it. Not us. They are itching to report about it. Itching to report about Prince William's alleged affairs with women while married to Kate Middleton. They are itching to report about it. I mean, how else can you explain? The first thing after Harry said that royals don't marry for love, the first conclusion that tabloids came to was that he was talking about Prince William and Kate Middleton. How else can you explain that? How else? My family. And you see, what tabloids do is that when they do find out that you have, an affair, that you have a mistress, they use that to control you. They use that to have a hold on you. And the fact is, Harry doesn't have a mistress. And they are not happy about it. If you have a mistress, you can be controlled by tabloids. They can say, look, we are going to cover this if you don't give us this. If you don't tell us about this, we'll be covering this that you did. I'm glad that Harry is a good man and a good husband that Meghan married, who loves Meghan so much, who loves his family, his wife and children so much. I love that 100%. Now, another article from Daily Mail, my family, and I quote, now that's upwardly mobile, how in 150 years, Meghan Markle's family went from cotton slaves to royalty via freedom in the US Civil War. My family, Daily Mail as a racist as always. Now another one from Jeremy Clarkson at The Sun, who said that he's, and I quote, he's dreaming of the day when she is made to parade naked through the streets of every town in Britain while the crowds chant shame and throw lumps of excrement at her. The Sun has since taken down the column and issued a non-apology. They did not even apologize to Meghan Markle or reach out to Meghan Markle. As Meghan and Harry said that a real apology will mean that the tabloid changes its unethical practices, changes its behavior, and that Harry and Meghan said that they were not going to hold their breath. And it is worth noting once again that Jeremy Clarkson, after having a party, with Camilla, the Queen Consort, attending, being there, went ahead to write such a vile article. And despite the outrage, the palace did not condemn the abuse and incitement of violence towards Meghan Markle by the UK tabloid press. Now, Steve says this, and I quote, this is standard fare for Meghan Markle in the UK. Of course, Clarkson's column was published in a newspaper owned by the cancerous Rupert Murdoch. It is appalling, but not as appalling as the silence from Buckingham Palace. Harry himself has said that silence is betrayal. The fundamental and undeniable reality of Harry and Meghan's life is that they are not as important to the monarchy as Charles and Camilla or William and Kate. They are secondary actors in a drama beyond their control. The entire institution is built on the assignment of permanent life stations at birth by class and blood. William is a higher rank, and that is importance because of birth order. The UK media and royal correspondents are in the access business. This is the crucial part. This is important. Hear this, please. The royal family and the UK media are codependent institutions. Denying this is delusional. They need each other. And that is Harry and Meghan's fundamental point. Harry and Meghan always draw the low card in the shuffle between private courtiers and the UK press. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex weren't defended from unprecedented viciousness because they weren't worth the cost of the transactions. That is how the game is played. They were the perpetual 10 card that fell constantly short against the proverbial king and queen cards. When traveling in their country, people are often advised that if they encounter one, they should not run because the bear is so much faster. This is good advice, but something is often left unsaid that is top of mind within any group that hears it. Most people tend to look around and evaluate their group, conscious of the fact that they don't have to be faster than the bear, just faster than one person in the group. Harry and Meghan are the proverbial slow couple in their country. They don't stand a chance in the daily arbitrage of who gets defended by the institution and who does not. I like that example. I like that true example. This is true. And what you see right now with Harry doing this interview with ITV's Tom Bradby, with Anson Cooper, is a man who's just trying to make it stop against a powerful institution and a tabloid media that spreads hate for profit and is relentless in its bullying. It never ever stops. It's been 6 years and they don't even stop even now. 6 long years of bullying. 6 long years. It takes a huge toll on anyone. If it were you, the things, my family, what Harry and Meghan have gone through, no one can fathom or even endure. The extent of the vicious and demented smearing of Meghan Markle has been meticulously documented by Christopher Bowsey, one of America's preeminent data scientists. The results are astonishing and sickening. They prove decisively that Meghan Markle was the subject of a vicious campaign of character assassination and digital smearing by a relatively small number of people who tragically included her unstable half-sister Samantha Markle. But they keep on saying that race has nothing to do with it. That's what they like to say, Now here's an example. Speaking of race, there seems to be great outrage from the tormentors of Harry and Meghan about their calling out the institutional racism that is deeply embedded within the UK's upper classes. This statement of the obvious has been met with cuddled cries of treason and betrayal from both sides of the Atlantic. Perhaps Princess Michael of Kent, the daughter of a Nazi who named 2 black sheep she owns, Serena and Venus, was who they had in mind. This is what she said when research indicated that pack status among female baboons was hereditary. Say this in a quote. I always knew that when people who aren't like us claim that hereditary rank is not part of human nature, they must be wrong. Now, you've given me evolutionary proof. The princess chose to wear a racist brooch on the occasion of Meghan Markle's introduction to the royal family. For Americans unfamiliar with blackamoor figures and sculptures, they are exotic figures which usually depict African or non-European males as servants and were prominent in the 17th and 18th centuries. They are the equivalent of a lonely jockey necklace. Betrayal is at the core of the Harry and Meghan story. But the betrayals belong to the royal family who would not defend them, as well as Thomas Markle, who sold his daughter out for 30 pieces of silver to the UK tabloid press. You know, my family. Let me pause there and continue in a different part, my family. You know, it's a long article, so allow me to pause there. What do you think from even what we talked about now, what Steve has said? Everything here is true, my family. And one thing is for sure, Meghan has many stalkers. And this stalking, this abuse of Meghan must come to an end, must stop once and for all. My family, stay tuned to part 2 of this video, the Duchess and her stalkers. We'll be talking about Meghan Markle next. And kindly stay tuned to our next video. Love you always and forever. May God bless, protect Prince Harry, Meghan, Archie, Diana, and Dora Ragland, and all of you members of the squad at home. Please stay tuned to our next video. And love you, family, always and forever. God bless Meghan, Archie, Diana, Dora Ragland, your family, you know, members of the squad, your family. And let's keep fighting this hate. Let's keep exposing what is happening. If you are neutral in the side of oppression, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. My family, we are not neutral. We are on Team Harry and Meghan. We'll call out Meghan stalkers for what they are and hold them to account. The world must take notice of what is happening in the UK. The bullying over mixed-race black women every single day for 6 years. That must come to a stop. Stay tuned to our next video. Hello, members of Duchess of Family TV. First of all, I want to say thank you for all your support that you give us to our channel. We don't take it for granted that you support this channel. I want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts for lending out your support and fighting against injustices, supporting Prince Harry and Meghan, showing them love. Love will always triumph over evil, and for that I say thank you. Good will always prevail over bad. Thank you so much for all your support. Thank you so much for joining this community, this amazing community of Duchess of Family TV. I love you so much, family, from the bottom of my heart, and I wish you all the best. May you have a great day, and I hope that you enjoyed this video and learned a lot of things. With that and so much more, stay tuned to our next video. Leave a comment below, like, and subscribe. Love you, family, always and forever. Sayonara.